All right. Thank you guys all for joining us. My name is Matt Marino, and I am the Career Technical Planning District Consultant for SST2. SST2 serves Lorain, Erie, and Huron counties. And today I have the pleasure of bringing you guys Rob Musick from Embold. And I heard Rob for the first time maybe a month or two ago talk about um, his industry recognized credentials. They're almost stackable pathways that are pretty impressive. So those include leadership excellence, Lean Six Sigma, and a lot of the CompTIA offerings in the IT career field. So I will let Rob take it away. Can someone just give me confirmation that it says it's recording?
Yeah, it says
Perfect. All right. It
that.
didn't give me a confirmation, so I just wanted to make sure. So Rob, I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Matt, cannot start screen share while other participant is sharing right now when I try to share. So I think you may have to stop before. There we go. All right. Thanks so much. Well, thanks everyone for attending this session. I appreciate it. As Matt said, I'm Rob Musick with Embold. And since our time is somewhat limited, I am going to jump right into the presentation. However, I will say this works a whole lot better. If you guys have questions in the middle, just please interrupt me. I would love to have the questions come up when you're thinking of them, because I'm about to spew out like a lot of information. So if a question pops up, please just stop me. All right. Okay, I am going to share my screen and to get started. So again, we're Embold. We are a nonprofit organization. Here we go. Nonprofit organization located in Shelby, Ohio. 100% of what we make goes towards supporting educational and humanitarian efforts. Right now, there's a very major focus going on in Guatemala, building schools and providing scholarships for kids who otherwise wouldn't get an education. We offer, and that's the professional skills and business technical skills training. We started off as professional skills, and working with the Ohio Department of Education, they said it would be great if you could tie those skills specifically to the Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seal. So we did that. And then later they came back and said, you know what, everything's going towards credentials. So if you can keep that flavor of the Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seal, but also end with a credential, that would be perfect. So we tweaked our program that now ends with the Leadership Excellence credential, and without removing the tie to the Ohio Means Job Readiness Seal. So of course, they can't get the seal by just doing the training. They still have to demonstrate that knowledge, get the signatures, but our training gives them the knowledge they need to prove out to get that seal. And then from a business and technology standpoint, we have a variety of seals, a variety of credentials that we offer, and mostly in the IT field, where we're big into IT, and CompTIA is a authorized partner and a very good authorized partner of ours. And then from the specific other training standpoint, we're partners with Skillsoft. And I don't know if you're familiar with Skillsoft. They're our content provider for a lot of our training. They own 70% of the Fortune 1000 market share. They're absolutely huge, and they're a big believer in what our overall mission is about trying to help others, trying to get education for people who otherwise wouldn't get it, and lift them out of poverty. So I say all that to say this, what you're going to hear and some of the flexibility that we have and some of the price points that we can offer all comes because of the great partnerships that we have and people that believe in what we're trying to do with our profits. We're going to go over the features of our system here. We have multiple training options. Every course that you'll hear is always available in 100% online self-paced model. And then we also have hybrid and 100% instructor-led, which is newly being released here, models for our foundational skills. And when I say foundational skills, I am talking about leadership excellence, which provides the students with professionalism training, communication, collaboration, acting in professional manner, those type of things. And then the Lean Six Sigma yellow belt, which provides efficiency. And we say foundational because we believe those are building blocks that they can go anywhere from, for the rest of their high school career, and then right after high school, if it's straight to the workforce or if it's on to college, these are skills that are going to be beneficial. These are also skills and credentials that are in every single ODE pathway. So if you start with foundational skills and get the 3 points for leadership excellence and the 3 points for a yellow belt, then you've got 6 points to build on, again, available in every single pathway. So wherever that final 6 comes from, you're good to go. The training and credentialing options, just talk through real quick for the foundational skills. With leadership excellence, if you do the 100% self-paced learning, it's about 8 hours of content. This one, and only this one at this point, we also have in Spanish. So for Spanish speaking students, we have it in Spanish. They go through 20 modules. At the end of each module, there's a quiz, small quiz. If they get 75% or better on each of those 20 quizzes, they earn the credential. Those quizzes are repeatable. So if they do fail, they can go back, learn a little bit more, come back and retake the quiz. It's not the exact same quiz, but it's the same flavor, of course, of quiz. So they can keep retaking those until they get the 75% or better on all 20 and then earn the credential. So I will say at this point, like these foundational courses, while we believe they're super important, in knowledge and what it provides for the students, they're also very obtainable. So what you see is, we're not concerned so much with can they take a test well, but did they comprehend what they're learning? So these are very obtainable credentials. And at that one, they will fill out something, which I'll show you later, a quick online form that comes to Embold, and then we do the verification of completion. For the hybrid model, it splits that online training in half down to 4 and 10 online quizzes. And then there's a project that needs to be demonstrated where they're demonstrating those leadership traits in some fashion or form, very much locally decided of, what you're okay, as long as a teacher of record is getting that, yes, they have comprehended what they've learned. They've demonstrated that to me. And then a teacher of record would be filling out a verification sheet that comes to Embold to get their credential. And then a model that is coming out, as you see in the top right there, target date is 3/1. We're pushing very, very hard to have that available to the general public at 3/1. We've already went through a cohort with a very large school in the Columbus area to help us kind of modify, tweak some things. So we're building in those final tweaks and hoping to have a general release on 3/1. If we don't hit that date, it'll be very soon after that, but we're pushing hard for 3/1. For a 100% instructor-led model, and that is, here's the Embold content, teach it. It has, discussion questions. It has exercises. You'll see an example here in a minute. So the teacher is teaching it, and then the student is proving it out, in a way at their discretion that, yes, they've proven that they've understood these leadership traits to get that credential. From the Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt, the other foundational course, same kind of pattern, but there's 20 hours of online content with this one that does end in a large exam. They need 70% or better on that exam to get their credential. The difference with our exam is there's not this clock ticking up in the corner that everybody's panicking about. It's completely open book. There's no time limit, and not that you want to keep repeating a large course or exam, but it is repeatable if they need to. So again, very obtainable. Not only is there no time limit, the student can work on it, say, for 20 minutes one day and come back and work a half hour the next day, and then come back the following week and work an hour on it. They can take as long as they need, and they can break it up into segments. The hybrid model splits that in half, about 10 hours of online training, and then instructor-led training of Embold content, and where the student is presenting evidence that they have the concepts of Lean Six Sigma down and demonstrating that to a teacher of record. And then our model that is very newly released, but is available now to the general public, is our 100% instructor-led for the Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Please, yes.
Okay, while we're going over this, is there a certain teacher credential that these teachers need to have in order to be an instructor for either one of these?
Yeah, so let me answer it in this way. To provide the credential so that we can approve the credential, the teacher of record for the hybrid and the instructor-led model need to have taken and successfully completed the course, or gone through a train the trainer of these courses. Now that's just like the credentialing piece. I stay away from because I'm still a little fuzzy on the, okay, what teacher to make it a course and a course credit course. I try to stay away from those questions. I'm trying to learn more and more about it, but I'd hate to answer that in a way that is not completely accurate. So I can only speak to the credentialing piece. So
because I'm kind of thinking on the lines here, like, for instance, we have several CTE teachers here that we're working with. And especially the one that I have is actually working with our seniors with our new pilot program that we're starting here at Marietta High School, but also working on getting his credential. So, I guess my thinking on the lines of this is that how long something like this takes? Is this something that you can do like in a semester? So I would also have to look at the lines of how to get this particular teacher credentialed in order to do this.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we've had teachers that have went ahead and took the course ahead of time. We've also had teachers that are kind of taking it real time. So they're just ahead of the students as they're taking it. So at the time of when they're verifying, yes, completion, they have just completed it themselves. So, but it is very, I think what you'll find with your teachers, what we found in past, especially with leadership excellence, they could just go through and take those quizzes. And while they're a little tricky, and why they may need to retake a few of those, they could go through very quickly, get that 75% or better in the leadership excellence, and then earn that credential and be good to go for the hybrid and the 100% instructor led.
So they would basically just take the course like the students would take the course. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's one option. The other option is we do, for larger school systems, or if somebody's really interested, we do offer through a partnership with the PAST Foundation out of Columbus, cohorts and train the trainer sessions. So with one school very recently that was doing the 100% instructor led with us, we brought a number of teachers in and then went through a day and a half of train the trainer. So when they went through that, they were working through, okay, how would this lay out? That also meets the criteria from the Ohio Department of Education that they can do that and then teach the course. So that's what they do.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no, great question.
And Rob, while we have you in the question mode, I have two questions in the chat. So for the hybrid model, this was going back to leadership excellence. Is it 4 hours of instructor-led training along with the 4 hours of the e-learning?
Not necessarily. What we do is it's 4 hours of the online plus the quizzes that come along with that. And then there's Embold content that we would want the instructor to get through in whatever way, shape, or fashion, form, and time that they want to. A lot of this, the hybrid and the instructor led, is all about that project of, okay, prove to me that you have these concepts down. So it isn't a hard and fast X number of hours. We do ask that you'll see here on this month, we ask for a minimum of about 10 hours to be spent on project development and presentation for the Lean Six. But that, again, that's not a hard and fast, it's got to be this. But usually if you're going through the exercises and the discussion questions that come along with these, you're going to spend that much time.
And then the other question, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What exactly is the Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt credential? So if I would say, okay, students, we want you to get this credential, how is this actually something that you're going to be able to use? Because I don't really know what this is. So I'm sorry if I'm the only one that doesn't, but I don't know what it is.
I can guarantee you're not the only one that doesn't. A lot of people I talk to aren't familiar, but it's teaching efficiency. How can things be done better, and how can things be done cheaper, faster? So it's all about efficiency. And again, I want to restate this. It's in every single ODE pathway because it can be used in every single industry. And I have an IT background. I was a CIO for an insurance company for many, many years. And we were looking for people with this, from an IT field, because it taught them some project management and it taught them basis of efficiency, how to take a step back, look at a process, how can it be improved? and then measure. Okay, did we meet our mark? Oh, we did, except for these areas. Take another step back, reevaluate. How can we continue to improve? So it's about efficiency and continual improvement. I had one time I had a guest speaker at one of my presentations with me, and she was giving the example of Wendy's. She used to manage a Wendy's, and she was going through the Lean Six Sigma concepts that they used at Wendy's in making the burgers and how long it needed to be on one side before you flip. You know, it can be applied in anything. And it is out there in the industry, I will definitely say it's very recognizable credential.
So it doesn't necessarily have to just stay within the information technology realm. It could go into all aspects of whatever career that these students want to go into.
Absolutely, 100%.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
And there's huge manufacturing stuff like Honda. Honda is a Six Sigma shop. So the people that are working there, they want to have the concepts and understanding of Six Sigma. It is definitely in every single career. And that's, again, why it's in every single career path, because it can be applied to any type of career, you know, the students go on to.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no, great questions. Matt, was there another question before I
Yeah,
move
there
on?
was one more. I think you've kind of answered it. Does your organization provide the instructor for in-person instruction?
We do not provide the instructor for that. We provide an instructor manual, which I just slid over here. Hopefully you see the instructor manual now.
Yep.
In the shared. So I will just show you what this is. We go through, this is the example of the yellow belt. Quick overview of what Six Sigma is, how it benefits high school students. Our three options explain. And then for every module that's part of the hybrid or the fully instructor-led, we have content, discussion questions, exercises, and then a knowledge check that you can use for the kids. And I'll just go through one. Oh, and then I will say at the end too, as far as the project, we have all the project details that, you know, what the outcome we're looking for, problem statements, criteria, a rubric that the teacher can use, and then project ideas, you know, in the school environment, in the community environment, or if they are working at that point, you know, in your work environment. Here are different ideas that you could demonstrate your knowledge in of what you're going to take back and go, here's how we could improve this process, and then show that through a poster or a presentation, essay, you know, whatever the teacher decides that proves to them they have the concepts down. And then we have some project outlines also for that. And just to flip through, I will just show you the first module so you get an idea. That's explaining it. Okay, for our first module, Foundations and Principles, here's the content. It's very much focused on a high school level, not this crazy expectation that they wouldn't even need to get the concepts down. This was also proven out by proof of concept with one of our large school systems that we're working with. They're implementing this for their freshmen coming up in their next school year. So there's the content that they go through, discussion questions, along with a great answer for, you know, here's what a good answer would be to that discussion question. And then it goes through exercises, driving the points home from that module in kind of a fun and interactive way. So it teaches not only the points that they're trying to learn, but also this communication, collaboration, you know, working on things like paper airplane manufacturing. And it goes through Lean Six Sigma concepts of what you would do. Okay, have them make paper airplanes and have them improve the process and go back. And again, where they're getting timed on things like that, building a spaghetti tower. So just a bunch of exercises. In this one, there's more than most modules because it's the foundation thing, but I think there's 6 in that one. And then, like I said, knowledge checks that just goes through. That's a quiz you can use, you don't have to use, for your students hitting the concepts of that particular module. And then, of course, the answer key for that. And then it jumps to the next module. That's an instructor-led. And then, I mean, if you want to see, I can jump down here real quick to, from a project standpoint, the outcome, the expectations of the project, the criteria. Again, it's very much driven locally of what you decide makes sense, that they're proving it out. We provide a rubric to be used. And then the ideas, like I talked about, different ideas, and then different, go through the ideas, and then different project outlines. So all that is part of the instructor-led training. It can be used in any, if you sign up for any of these 3, you get that, because even if they're doing 100% self-paced, You know, you may want to throw in an exercise here or there, some of the discussion questions to drive it home. Same with the hybrid model. Those are the same exercises, discussion questions, and everything. So when you sign up for any of those modules, the instructor gets that instructor manual. Okay. Professional mentoring. So with professional mentoring, I'll show you here. This is a snapshot of what our portal would look like, and the Embold portal, our look, feel, colors. And there's a little button that says Ask the Mentor. So if the student gets stuck on something, they can click this, and then they can live chat or email back and forth with the professional that will help them through explaining that concept. It's available for the yellow and green belt and Six Sigma and many of the CompTIA, including the core CompTIA, A+, Network Plus, Security Plus. All those have this Ask the Mentor button, in addition to other of the CompTIA ones also, but those three core ones I wanted to mention. Our content is always created by industry experts, no crowdsourcing ever. So with that, Skillsoft can tout 92% exam success rate on the first attempt. It's very, very thorough training. Customized portals, the school would have your own look, feel, colors, logo. You know, when they got into it, it's going to look like your school. Web accessibility. So we support the following assistive technologies, you know, screen readers, shortcuts, instead of mouse, alternate images that's replacing the graphics in some of these, and then eliminating some of the screen refresh rates that have been known to cause some problems, you know, in particular students. So it's a click of the button when you go on the portal, enable web accessibility, and then you get these features. You can print out any course transcript. Some students like to print out the course transcript and then highlight, you know, key areas. You do that for any of the courses. The instructors would get activity and grading reports that look like this. Just a quick example where they're seeing who took it, how they did, you know, how many times they've accessed it, if they took the pre-test, what they scored, what their final score was, because again, you can retake these things, and then how long the course should have taken versus how long they spent. So if you have a student comes back and goes, look, I failed the quiz, I just don't get it. You know, you can go in there and say, okay, well, it should have taken you like roughly 24 minutes. You took one. So you didn't watch the material. So you'll have that information at your fingertips, which is just a click I'll show you on the left-hand frame of your portal. Discount packages. So if you combine some of the credentials, we have some discount packages available, and free educator training always, whether that is through Embold, where it's just these courses where we're going, okay, you know, if you're signing students on, all your educators, all your teachers are going to get to free training, or you can go through this industry credential educator fellowship through the PASS Foundation. I mentioned them earlier. They're awesome and they're great partners of ours. If you go through that, you can see you get the credential and the exam, curriculum support, CEUs, and a $300 gift. Open to all 7th through 12th educators in Ohio. And on the bottom right there, you will see the courses that are currently available and being signed up for a spring cohort. The ones in blue are in bold, but in case those don't pique your interest, also drone flight, entrepreneurship, Adobe are also ones that they offer through other vendors. And it is an incredible opportunity because they have a large grant that's been renewed over the last number of years that I've worked with them. So that is free to educators. And if you look at the slide deck that's, you know, attached to this site, you can just click on that industry recognized credential fellowship and it'll bring up their flyer and it'll go through what I just said and then give you a contact, Nikki Stancampiano, who is awesome. If you got any questions, or just click the link to register.
Rob, another question in the chat here about the completely instructor-led option. Is that approximately 20 hours in-person instruction, or is that a different approximated time?
No, it's approximately the same. Okay. Yeah, it's the same. We have people that we're working with that have already went completely different paths of how they're going to implement it. Some are going to implement it and then make it a credit, and then some are incorporating it into another class. The ones that are making it into another class are going to use more exercises and more time going through things. So it's going to be longer than that. But roughly in about 20 hours, you can definitely get through the content, get through the instruction, and get through, the projects and everything that's going on there. Wait. We package everything together in predefined packages, or you can just individual credentials, or you can come to us and say, I want this one, this one, this one. And because of our relationships, we are allowed to package separately where most people aren't, and say, here's your individual package that you put together, and we'll price it accordingly. I'm going to do a pretty quick demo here. I want to be cognizant of the time and not run over my time, but I just want to show you kind of what a portal would look like. From a student standpoint, they would just come up here and click Browse the Library. And in this case, here's all the courses that this demo student has rights to. If they were going to go into one, say, Leadership Excellence, there's 5 different traits in our Leadership Excellence. Click on any of those traits, and then there's 4 different modules associated with that trait. Again, 5 traits, 4 modules, that makes up the 20 courses that I talked about earlier, and the 20 quizzes that they would need to take. When you click on any of these, for all of our courses, you can go in, click About, see an overview of the course, and see the objectives of that course. And then you can also click on the table of contents and see, although it's roughly a 26-minute course, it's broken up into the little mini learning segments that everybody knows is easier comprehension, better comprehension if you do it that way. All the courses are set up exactly like that with the objectives and then broken down into segments. If they're doing the 100% instructor-led model and they've completed their 20 quizzes with 75% or better on the Leadership Excellence, they just apply for the credential, click which one they're applying for, send this in. It comes to an Embold credentialing team. They take a look at it. If they met the criteria, an email goes back, if the student is allowed to get an email, to them with the certificate attached, along with copying their instructor. If they sent this in, which happens a lot, when they haven't yet met their criteria, an email goes back explaining, okay, you haven't met the criteria yet. Here's what it is. Here's what you still need. That also gets copied to the instructor so that they know. And these are the ones that have been blessed by the department for Embold to credential. Leadership Excellence, yellow belt, green belt. We have been approved by the department to credential those ourselves. So that is when they would be using this form. And that is only for the 100% instructor-led models. I will show you real quick here, like some of the resources. For the yellow belt, there's a workbook for the student. And this just goes through, and this mirrors the online training, but then it gives them fill in the blanks to kind of help with that comprehension and that understanding. So they're going through and they're filling these in as they're going. And then, as I mentioned, this test is open book. So when they come to the test, they can have this right beside them. So it's really like their study notes for the test. Again, not about how they take a test, it's about how they comprehended well. Do they have the knowledge they need to be successful? Let me grab here real quick the teacher one. Same look and feel. You'll have at least the same courses that the students have up there in your Browse the Library. You will also, this is the link on the left-hand frame for the activity report. This is just demo data of some Embold people, but you can see that same report. That's where you would access the report I showed you earlier. And then for teacher resources, there's a form for adding students. Doesn't have to actually even be this template, but it shows you what we need when students are being added. And then the verification sheet for the hybrid or for the fully instructor-led model is there. And then I will just show you, this is where that same workbook I showed for student, of course, exists for the teacher. This one has the answers filled in, of course. And then for a hybrid or a fully instructor-led model, there's a student workbook. Not a whole lot to it other than it's giving them some areas to fill in. This is what I learned from this module that I'm going to apply to my project. This is what I learned from this module. So it's really a note-taking book, if you will. Excuse me for them. And then this is where you would access that instructor manual that I showed you earlier. And just so you know, if you do a demo and see and start flipping down through here, there's 104 pages. You can only preview so many pages. So when you get to the bottom, you can't see it because it only previews so much. You'd have to download it if you want to see the whole thing.
What's the difference between the green belt and the yellow belt?
The yellow belt is the first step, and then the green belt builds upon those concepts and goes a little bit deeper.
Okay,
And
so is that a different credential or no?
It is a different credential. Yeah, and I'll talk to that here in a minute, but
Oh, okay.
that's actually a 6-pointer. That green belt is a 6-pointer. There's a lot of advantages to that green belt. And I will also say students that have been very thorough with the yellow belt say green belt's kind of a layup after that, because so many of the concepts are there and repeated and just built upon. The green belt is pretty obtainable at that point. So here we go. We get asked a lot, okay, give us some ideas of how this could work. This is not how it has to work by any means, but here's a potential pathway. We're in a freshman year. They're getting the professionalism and efficiency through leadership excellence and yellow belt. Leadership excellence, if they prove out the knowledge, demonstrate that knowledge, they can earn that Ohio Means Job Readiness seal, have that one out of the way. They take these two, and then there's 6 points towards their 12 points they need. Again, every single pathway. So the following 6 can come from anywhere. We still see these as universal skills. Again, building, as you just asked the question, building upon the Lean Six Sigma concepts, you would go into green next if you wanted to continue down that path. Or you can go into that ITF, which is IT Fundamentals, Information Technology Fundamentals class. And then particularly, since this is the IT pathway, that's what we specialize in. That's where my background is, and that's what courses that I've used in the past to train my people. So we have the CompTIA path, A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, and then I won't get into a lot right now, but those can cover the assessments or the CTE assessments. Let me just click on this real quick so you can see. I just put out snippets from the department site, talking about the industry credentials that can be used in lieu of the assessments, and then pulled out, okay, here are the 4 we're talking about. If you look at these numbers, those are actually old and very expired exams, but I verified with the department, the new exams that have replaced these are the exact same, meet the same criteria, so they can be used in lieu of those assessments. Okay. IT pathway, to speak a little bit more detail about that, there's this IT fundamentals that I mentioned. It's completely separate. It's standalone. It does not have to be part of the IT pathway. The IT pathway really generally starts with A+, Network Plus, Security Plus. At the very bottom, you can see there's no prereqs for the ITF or the A+. But moving on to Network Plus, they want you to have A+. Moving on to Security Plus, they want you to have A+ and Network Plus. So there is a, building upon a feature that CompTIA has laid out here. The ITF is just that. Fundamentals is teaching you basic IT skills, and it's kind of for anybody. And it's also, okay, people deciding if they want to get into the IT field or not. And then it's just an enhancement for people that have. And I'm going to zip through these because of time, but the A+ is consisting of 2 courses and 2 separate tests, just so it's an oddball one, but there's 2 separate tests that you have to pass to get that credential. And you can see here what each covers.
I'm curious because often Caitlin answers it,
Net-
asks 5,000 questions before.
Yeah, network obviously goes, I'm sorry, is there still a question? Oh, no. Okay, for Network Plus, again, obviously go straight into networking more, and security, it takes a deeper dive into that. A lot of students I hear, oh, I want to do security. Okay, that's great, but you really shouldn't bypass these other ones. And you'd really need to follow the path that CompTIA has laid out. And then there's potential jobs for each one, with the ITF, it's really any entry-level position for IT or enhancing any other job and career path. And then you can see for A+, it opens up a ton of different possibilities. And then for network plus and security, it just takes deeper dives into those particular areas for network administration, system administrator kind of things. Or from a security standpoint, security analyst, penetration testing, the fun stuff as, hey, I'm with this organization and now I'm trying to break into it like I'm somebody from the outside, so we can shore up anything that's, an area where people can go in. So yeah, that's fun stuff, but you got to have a background in all these other things to get to that point. And the expiration for these, the ITF is good for life because it is a general understanding of IT and not any of the specific stuff. For the other three and for all the other CompTIA credentials, they generally expire 3 years from the exam date, and that is because they're constantly updating their exams. And as you can see in the previous slide, there's a March release coming out from us for the next level of Security Plus, the 701. That 601 does not get it does not expire until later this year, but we want to get ahead of it. So we have a release next month of the next version of that. Again, that's just tracking the roughly 3 years new exam from CompTIA. All right, pricing. Let me go through this real quick. You can see all the credentials that I talked about today, and I can square off here. Here's a 1 year plus credentialing cost. What we've done as an organization, we understand the department will reimburse for the credentialing piece of these. So we went back to our partners, we did some strong pencil sharpening and said, for as many of these as we can, we want to sell the training and the credentialing for that credentialing reimbursement. So you can see in this slide, for 4 of the credentials, it's a wash. For every student that gets one of those 4 credentials, you're going to get training and credentialing for that credentialing reimbursement amount. So it's a net 0. And then, so that's leadership excellence, yellow, green, and A+. For the other ones, we sharpened as much as we could, and I think you will find that's a pretty low price if you compare that out.
Is that per student or per school?
That's per student. That is
Per
per student.
student, okay. All right, and that's just for 1 year?
That's for 1 year. We offer 2-year, 3-year packages. That's where you get into packages where, okay, let's understand your need more, and then we can go from there. If you're doing something and saying, okay, we're going to want this spread over 2 years, then we would make it a 2-year license.
Okay.
We have a lot of flexibility in regards to really everything. We have a lot of flexibility, so we want to build out what best meets the needs. And we'll go into it, but you can see on the far right, there's the IWIP eligibility. If it's through Embold or someone else, check into IWIP. There's a ton of government money out there that's available. And then quick note, reminder for myself, the 100% instructor led. So here's what we do. Here's how we do this with those two. If it's 100% instructor led, we provide you all the materials you need to do the instruction. You do your instruction, and then when you're ready to say, okay, I can verify this list of students proved out that knowledge to me, you send us the verification sheet, and then that's when we start the billing process and not beforehand. Meaning the school pays 0 for any student that doesn't get a credential. So you're guaranteed, as long as that bucket of government money, lasts and doesn't have to be prorated, you're not paying anything for a student that doesn't earn that credential.
So if a teacher wants to, say, for instance, we know that we want to maybe start next year with the leadership excellence credential. And I have a teacher that say, hey, yeah, I really would like to try that because on my mind, I'm thinking it may be my sophomores, for instance, okay?
Yep.
In my career class taught by one of my teachers. So does he pay the $50 to take that credentialing course?
The instructor?
Yeah,
No.
so
No, if we have conversations and we're feeling good, like, okay, they're going to go ahead and go through with this, any teachers that you want to have, we will just give them those ideas. So those will be up front. You can either go through that cohort from the PASS Foundation, like I talked about before, because that's one of the cohorts, or you can just come to say, okay, we don't want to be a part of the cohort for whatever reason. We just want that training. You come to us, set you up, your teachers are free.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for the questions. And then, so with there, I just want to show you too, we have more advanced technology courses. We took some of them off, one because they're just so super deep, and other ones because they didn't have any point value assigned by the department, understandably, because they're so deep. But we do offer those additional IT courses if anybody is interested in those. And if you are, we would want to talk through, okay, what are the prereqs? Because it's not, you can't just jump into any one of these and have a student say, oh, I want to do Linux Plus to start with. We don't advise that. All right. How about some more questions? I've spewed out a lot of stuff here. What else can I answer or show here today?
There was another question in the chat. Is it possible to earn all 12 points no matter where you get them from during one school year?
Absolutely. Yeah. I try not to use this example too much because it's out of the norm, but there was a summer program that had some super strong stellar students, and they were supposed to do the leadership excellence in yellow belt. And then so many of them were so into it, they went ahead and did their green. So in one summer, they had their 12 points. They had 3 different credentials. They were off and running. So it is very possible, depending upon the motivation of the student. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will say this too, for those two, for the leadership excellence and the yellow belt, those 3, excuse me, and the green belt, we've been asked about a 12-point package altogether. So we've done that. We put together one that is get you your full 12. If you prove it out, you're getting both your seals that you need if you're proving out your leadership excellence. So you're really, in that case, you're meeting your competency, you're demonstrating your competency and your readiness with your seals all in one package. So that package in itself also gets discounted. So that's $225 per student for a 2-year license. So you have $225 is what you pay. You get a 2-year license. And then if you get those credentials, you can actually earn back, because of IWIP, $1,275. That's income. That's not paying out, because you're getting reimbursed for that $225 price. You're getting reimbursed $250 because we've discounted that package. And then the green belt is IWIP eligible. So that's another $1,250 you can get back. So when you add all that together, it's $1,275 per student that you can get back if you go through that, that prepackaged program and get all 12 of those points. I hope that made sense. I know I went through that pretty fast, but it's crazy money that's available out there. And that was a very long-winded answer too. Yes, you can go through them all and get 12 points in 1 year, and students have.
Another question in the chat. Any regular professionally licensed teacher can be an instructor for any of the instructor-led courses as long as they're trained by you, or is it past the other organization that you mentioned?
Yes. I mean, I want to go back to, there's 2 separate ways I answer that. And one I'm feeling very comfortable with the credentialing piece.
Mm-hmm.
They've successfully completed that course or went through a train-the-trainer. That takes care of all of those. The other one, as far as, okay, a credit towards, school, that one I try to stay away from. And, schools know, who can kind of teach what or whatever. And I'm learning, but I'm not comfortable enough to answer that side of the equation yet.
No, for sure. Another question in the chat. Do you have a Docker link with the topics covered in the Yellow Belt program so I can share with the teacher?
Yeah. We can do that.
If you want to share me anything, Rob, I will up everything that Rob, there's a bunch of resources that Rob shared with me, and anything else, Rob, that you want me to put on our, the website that you guys use to access this session today. All of that information will be on the website.
Thank you, Matt. I would answer the question in this way. What I would rather do, instead of just giving the topics for that teacher that you want to see, I would love to just give them an ID, and then they can go in, they can see the course, they can see the topic, they can start taking the course to see what all that looks like, so they get a real good feel for this would meet our needs or not. So, they can obviously see all the topics that are there, but then dive into it and just start taking some.
And is there a price list for the trainer? Or is it?
There isn't, and that's just because it's kind of in combination with Embold and with the PASS Foundation. We have slid some trainers in under another grant that the PASS Foundation has got. And then we know there's going to be scenarios coming up where there's going to be some outgoing of money. I will say this, if it's a large enough opportunity, Embold fits that bill. So that train-the-trainer could still be free, but I can't offer that up to everybody, because if it's, you know, a small number and a small opportunity, then what we would have to do with the Pass Foundation is work out a price point and then present it. So that's a wishy-washy answer, but that's the best I got. You know, it depends on the situation and what you're looking for, you know, what you're looking for training in.
And is there specific like dates for those trainers, or is it just kind of like an ongoing, you sign up and you get into it?
Yeah, it's an ongoing. What we've worked out is they, like, on a regular basis, they're starting to get into, okay, here's a trainer for yellow belt. Okay, and then any school can kind of join in and come to that. Or if it's a larger school, okay, here's a trainer for your particular school. You know, let's work out dates that work for that school district, and then all those teachers come to that trainer. But Pass Foundation is very flexible. They have a number of really excellent instructors that can do that. So if we have the interest, we just talk about it and then place something on the calendar. And I mentioned before, I believe, that it was a 2-day or for the leadership excellence. Part of that was helping us develop the criterion, making it be as good as it could be. Those are going to be 1-day courses from now on, 1-day trainer for leadership excellence. And then for yellow belt, I think those are probably still going to be a 2-day kind of deal.
Right. And I have a question. The CompTIA, any of the CompTIAs, are those also through your platform, like that Embold platform, or are those? Okay.
They are. They're through our Embold platform. And then the way that works, since we can't credential, you know, all those have to go out to a third party, no matter who you're doing it from. So we would sell the training and then the voucher for the credential. So then when you're ready, your student's ready, they utilize that voucher, go through a different site to take that test. There's also things that I would just mention in that we offer. There's also some through CompTIA. If you want your students to do practice tests, there's another piece that, you know, we can put in there, which is in the full price list on your website, where there's a separate price. If you say, hey, I want this student or even all my students to also have access to all these practice tests before they take the exam, you know, we can sell those also, and the price is in there.
Who does reimbursement for this stuff?
The Department of Education does the reimbursement. The IWIP comes from the workforce transformation. You're filling it in on your EMIS report, and you're waiting a while, because then they have to wait for all the schools to be applying for that, make sure their buckets of money, which is $8 million and $12.5 million, isn't exceeded. If it's exceeded, those reimbursements are prorated. Reimbursements and money, you know, as far as IWIP, the profit is prorated out. So you're turning it in the EMIS, and then you're waiting a while for everybody to get theirs in and then get your money back. So.
Okay, so that would go through our EMIS coordinator, who then would coordinate that with the Ohio Department of Education.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. What else?
So if this is something then that we decide to do, are you the contact for this, or like,
Yeah.
how do you go about doing all that?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I have a contact page here. So you can go to our website, embold.org, and there's different avenues to get to us. You can reach out to me directly. There's my phone number. There is my email. If you say, hey, I want to set up a whole career pathway, I need some help with that. We have a gentleman who used to be executive vice president for the Department of Education that works with Embold, Steve Gratz. You can reach out to him. You can schedule a demo, clicking that schedule a demo link. That's, again, on your docket or on your deck, slide deck, that's on the portal, or scan that code. And that's it. So there's a lot of different ways to reach out to us. On our embold.org website, up in the right-hand corner, you can see all these options too. I want to schedule a demo. I want a trial ID, you know, and also some more documentation, you know, of the things that I went through today is also out there. And what this looks like is, you know, if you want to schedule separately and talk through your specific situation, we do that. If you choose to move forward, then what we do is we build your exact portal, and then we set up about a 20-minute call, and we go through, here's what your portal would look like. Is that okay? here's the options that we have, understanding your particular needs, if it's a blended model, 100% online. So we clean it up, if you will, so it doesn't have extra items on there that you don't want on there. And then you give us the blessing and you're off and running.
All right. Well, there's aren't any other questions. I put the link to get your certificate for the session and the feedback in the chat if you want to click on that. The certificate at the top. Obviously, feedback is important for us. So thank you guys for joining us. Rob's gonna be back again for the next 2 sessions. He's gonna be doing the same thing. So if you were here once, unless you want to hear it again, and see Rob again, come on back. But if not, it'll just be the same session the next 2 times over. So thank you guys for coming and joining us and listening to Rob. If you have any questions, please reach out to him. He's an amazing person who's, I mean, anytime I ask, hey, can we chat? He's always available. So thank you all and enjoy your next sessions.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time.